Despite the massive budget, the huge marketing push, and of course the mainstream media doing everything they can to shill for Disney and Lucasfilm at each and every opportunity, The Acolyte has been a complete and total failure. And for the past several weeks, Star Wars fans have voiced their opinions, and they have been extremely loud and extremely clear. This is the worst entry in the Star Wars franchise to date. The worst in history. And Episode 7 got even worse. As the media's been desperately trying to convince you that the fans are the problem, and they're just review bombing it. They don't actually think it's bad. It's just so toxic out there. The reality continues to be very, very clear to anybody with two brain cells to rub together. The vast majority of the people don't like The Acolyte because it's a dog shit show. From the writing, to the storytelling, to the character development, to the destruction it's doing to Star Wars, and the messages they're trying to push throughout this entire thing, it's been a failure. And new viewership numbers finally confirmed that the media's been lying to everyone about this show, and in fact, the numbers are abysmal. But all of this was even before Episode 7 came out, and now we have the truth about what this series has been about all along, trying to tear down the Jedi and trying to make the Jedi look like the villains. And if you don't believe me, just look at all of these headlines this morning. The Acolyte Episode 7 recap, the Jedi blame game. The Acolyte Episode 7 recap, the Jedi really are the bad guys. This is what they've wanted to do, and it's been obvious if you've watched this show or even heard these people talk about it. Leslie Headland, from the get-go, wanted to make a show where, that really makes you want to be sympathetic towards the Sith point of view. And the Jedi, they're actually evil. They're actually bad. They're actually the problem. Now, of course, if you've watched the prequels, it's not like the Jedi are perfect. It's not like they're infallible, but certainly they are the good guys. George Lucas has made that clear time after time after time, but of course, this is not George Lucas's Star Wars anymore. This is not Star Wars anymore. This is Disney Star Wars. So what do you get when you hire a bunch of activists that, one, don't know anything about Star Wars and are literally hired just because of their gender or their sexuality or the color of their skin? And even the fact that they don't like Star Wars was a motivator to hire people on this writing team. You end up getting a story where it's supposed to criticize the people in power because when people have power, the marginalized people, it doesn't go well for them. You have this entire lesbian witch cult, which is just a self-insert for all the lesbians and gay people on the writing team to say, well, we're unnatural, and people don't like that, and people don't accept us, and that's not okay. It's completely, totally pathetic, but this is what you get when you start in an identity politics-driven narrative. That is your focus. That is your goal. That is what you want to do. That's who you hire on the writing team. That's who you cast. When that is the main purpose, instead of actually entertaining people with something that fits within this universe, this is the end result we get. We get The Acolyte. Now, even within this episode where they try to tell you the Jedi are bad, it's so poorly executed and retarded and stupid. The fact that we've now spent 2 whole episodes on these flashbacks is in an 8-episode series is kind of fucking stupid and retarded in and of itself. Yet, even when they had this opportunity to show that the Jedi are bad, the reality is, when you look at this lesbian witch cult and what they're doing to children and what they're doing with the Force, clearly dark side users, you know what, maybe the Jedi were right to take the children away from them. I know a lot of the lesbians that wrote this don't like to hear that, but maybe it wasn't the best thing for them to be in that witch cult. Just saying. But then to top it all off, and not anything about the episode itself, but just to show you how out of touch these people are, how they're trying to change Star Wars into something else entirely. If you didn't think that there was anything else for them to ruin, if there was nothing else about Star Wars that they could touch or ruin or bastardize, well, you forgot about the end credits. Because the end credits, they can always do something to ruin those, can't they? It's bad enough to see Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland's name splattered everywhere, but when you get to this, it's a different story. Okay, Disney, I realize you want to shit on the legacy of Star Wars fans with your awful Acolyte show, but what the fuck is this? When you finish Episode 7, this is what you hear.
Tell me we'll die with you, and I think it's gonna be the good parts. Don't wanna feel at all, and we so one in the same, so all my pain is your pain. You thought the sky was a necklace that you could wear and take off, that you could rip and break off, that you could train in the dark.
I wish this was a joke. I wish somebody had dubbed this over it. It was like a parody of some sort. This is true. This is an actual real thing. They're putting no shit songs that were created for this show into the end credit sequence. This is not Star Wars. Never has been. From inception, it wasn't Star Wars. The Power of Two. Go get the new hit single, The Power of Two, made specifically for the Disney Star Wars disaster known as The Acolyte. It just gets worse. Episode 7, there was a lot of things that needed to be answered, a lot of explanations that needed to happen. And pretty much all of it, if you could have picked the worst way for them to do it, that's what happened. But that's what this is. When you hire the worst writers, when you hire people that are incompetent solely because of their gender or their skin color in the writer's room, turns out you don't get the best product. That's what happened. Disney has died with DEI, just like so many other things have, and Star Wars is a perfect example of that. What do you guys think? Could it possibly get any worse than for the finale? I'm not sure. One thing is true. Almost no one is watching this pile of shit. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.